take you about 30 minutes to read. And I would encourage you to read it. But regardless of that, let's take this principle and apply it. Because it's easy to watch this video and think to yourself, well, that was entertaining, and then you go home and forget about it. It is easy to do that. Because what it's going to say is going to be freaking hard work. But remember, we are here for the hard work. We are here to do the hard things which get the good results. So I'm encouraging you to take what this video says. I'm not saying it from a place of preaching. I really am in it myself, okay? I think what Jolene has done in connecting with people this week and the previous weeks is putting on your tackies. It's the hard work. And sometimes it doesn't yield a result at first. But as you do it more and more, it becomes easier and easier to do the next thing. And that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? So, let me put the video on.
One sentence summary. Who Moved My Cheese tells a parable, which you can directly apply to your own life in order to stop fearing what lies ahead and instead thrive in an environment of change and uncertainty. Favorite quote from the author. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Spencer Johnson. Funny how you sometimes stumble into things that were right in front of your nose all along. I've had this book for 10 years. When I was a kid, my uncle gave it to me. It was a leftover copy from somewhere. I briefly looked at it. It was still wrapped, thought it was a manager's book, and put it away. I distinctly remember the picture of the cheese slice on the cover and turned it in my hands a couple of times since. Sadly, I never felt intrigued enough to read it. What an idiot I was. This site would probably have existed 5 years earlier had I read it back then. But there's no use in crying over spilled milk, so I'll just make do with what I've got and share some of Spencer Johnson's great lessons about change with you right now. Who Moved My Cheese? A parable about two little people and two mice in a maze, searching for cheese, where each character represents a different attitude towards change, with cheese being what we consider success. Here are 3 lessons about cheese and what you should do when someone moves yours. 1. Thinking too much about your cheese might paralyze you, so just start looking. 2. Nothing lasts forever, so keep your eyes open for approaching changes. 3. There's always new cheese to be found, and the minute you start moving, things will get better. Are you ready to become a champion of change? Let's look for that cheese. Lesson 1. Stop thinking too much about your cheese and start chasing it. The 2 mice inside of our maze are called Sniff and Scurry. They spend most of their time running up and down the corridors of the maze looking for cheese. Turn a corner, run to the end, see if there's any cheese, and if not, turn around and go back. That's their pattern, and while it seems kind of mindless and unstructured, it actually saves them a lot of time and energy. Hem and Haw, 2 little people, also spend their days in the maze looking for cheese, but not because they're hungry. They think finding it will make them feel happy and successful. However, because of their complex brains, they think a lot about how they can find the cheese the fastest, which strategies will work best in getting through the maze, how to keep track of those strategies, what finding the cheese will feel like, when they'll finally find it, and of course, they wonder if there's even any cheese in the maze at all every time they turn another empty corner. Life is the same. Every minute you spend wondering what success looks like, how to get it, whether it's possible, and how you'll feel in the future is a minute not spending working towards it. Humans are complicated beings, but that doesn't mean we have to make everything complicated. Be more like a mouse and just start running. Lesson 2. Even the biggest cheese doesn't last forever, so try to see change coming. Sniff and Scurry soon found a big stash of cheese at Station C, and even though they enjoyed snacking a bit of it every day, they kept paying attention. The amount of cheese kept declining, slowly but steadily every day. Once they realized they were about to run out, they decided to move on of their own accord, and soon found another huge cheese at Station N. When Hem and Haw found Station C, however, they settled there and quickly grew accustomed to the new status quo. The cheese fest they indulged in every day soon became the center of their lives, as they thought it was the fair reward for all their hard work. They were so preoccupied with the cheese that they didn't notice how it was disappearing, one piece at a time, and how some corners of it even got moldy. One morning, they woke up only to find someone had moved their cheese. This left Hem and Haw sad, depressed, feeling treated unfairly, and in denial. Instead of venturing out to find new cheese, they kept returning to Station C, getting even hungrier and weaker. No supply of cheese can last forever. Change is always bound to happen sooner or later. Instead of fooling yourself that things will stay the same forever, always keep an eye open for change. Lesson 3. Don't worry, there's always new cheese to be found. The minute you start moving, things will improve. The best part about cheese isn't that once you've found it, you're set for life. It's that there's always more cheese to be found. Haw eventually got sick of sitting around, so he decided to go looking for new cheese all by himself. Once he started moving, his situation instantly got better. Yes, he found a few bits and pieces of cheese here and there at first, but this was a lot better than doing nothing and being paralyzed by fear. After having found the courage to move on despite your fears once, fear's grip on you will never be as strong as it used to be. Haw realized the accumulated fears in his mind were a lot worse than even the biggest challenges he encountered. Full of confidence, he kept exploring the maze until he eventually found Sniff and Scurry at Station N, where the three of them shared the new cheese they had found.
Hey, this is Nick, the founder of 4 Minute Books, and I want to thank you so much for watching our video. Leave a like if you enjoyed.
Okay. What is the cheese?
Success.
Opportunity.
Or an opportunity.
What is the cheese?
Income.
Maybe for you it's income. For me it's a, what is the cheese, guys?
Opportunities.
The opportunity is always there.
Would it probably be the desire?
The cheese is definitely what you desire. That's getting closer.
Success.
Yeah. So the cheese is whatever's going to make you happy. It could be your marriage situation. It could be your work situation. It really doesn't just apply to finding a job, but it very much does apply to finding a job as well. So, what is the message?
Things don't always stay the same, and they're definitely bound to change, and you have to look out to the change and don't sit in the place.
That's the first message. Things change. Life's not fair. Life doesn't hand things to you on a platter, and things change. Message number 1. What's the message number 2?
You take over and control your actions.
Adapt.
Yeah, that's getting close.
Don't give up. There's always ways.
Adapt.
Very good. That's pretty good. I think that's the on the head. So, guys, it's easy to say and it's difficult to do. I'm encouraging you guys to go into that maze, that crazy new place that you're not uncomfortable with, and go and find more and more of what you have, what makes you happy. Okay. Now, of course, here at church, we're talking about Jesus. Jesus gives us joy. And Jesus is our provider. And the problem that we have sometimes is that we end up saying, okay, but then I can just sit down and do nothing. Now, in Afrikaans, there's a saying, Yaku, you might know it, okay? It says, bid in rooi. Rooi. I didn't say red, I said row, okay? Pray and row. So they're picturing a guy in a boat, busy praying, and saying, God, please move me, please move me. Okay. Of course, we trust in God, but our trust is demonstrated in the way that we act. Okay. So, that's the message for today. I hope it's encouraging. Now we're going to talk about, we're going to do some actions. Because remember we said we're going to do stuff, not just pray. But everything that we're going to do is in line with sitting in a quiet time and listening to what God says. Because we need to make God the center of our job search. And today I'm going to show some slides on our passion. What do we love? And at the end of this session, what I would like to have is a job role that you're going to go out and look for. Now, this job role is going to be part of our strategy, and I want to ask you, what is important about a strategy?
Keeps you focused on what you need to do.
That's exactly the answer I was looking for. That's exactly the answer I was looking for. Well, that's almost like you read my mind.
Vision, I was going to say vision.
Yeah. So it's not only about what you're going to do, but what we don't like is that it's a strategy tells you what you're not going to do. So you can go and look for a job in something very focused to the exclusion of everything else. Now in the modern world, with so many people and so many jobs available, it's a better strategy to go and look for one thing and look for the very best thing that you can do than to say, oh, I can do anything and go look for everything. And in the beginning, it might feel like it's more difficult to find a job. But in the end, you're going to draw people towards you that are like you, and you're going to start enjoying what you do, and you're going to do things that you're good at, and that's going to take you further in life. So, to start with a strategy, you have to choose something very specific. It's easy to say, I can do anything. Very easy. And maybe from your context, it looks like you can. But what are you really, really good at? What is the one thing that you're going to go after? Hey, you know what? Go make a mistake. You'll very quickly find out if it's a mistake. And then you can say, okay, put that idea down. Let's go and do something else. But for goodness sake, try something. Go run in the maze. Decide today, what are you good at? So, how are we going to do that? This is not what I was looking for. Apologies. What am I good at and passionate about that people need? And we're going to do it practically on LinkedIn now. So, Proverbs 33 says, do you see any truly competent workers? They will serve kings rather than working for ordinary people. And of course, we want to do the very best that we can so that we can be in the courts of the kings. Okay. What am I good at? Was there a time when you felt you were doing something that made you feel like you were doing it really well? It's kind of, you started doing it and you thought, wow, this is easier than I thought. I'm really good at this. Can I ask you to go to the back of your books and write this one down? So, think carefully about a time when you felt, I'm really winning at this. There's a word for it, they call it flow. When you're in flow, it's like everything's connected. I'm winning at this, I'm doing well. Try and think of a day and a moment when you felt like that. Pravesh, if you want to leave that thing and sit down.
What I want to
like some of you are finished. So the question was there a time that you were doing something that made you feel like you were doing really well? Have you answered that question? And if so, I'm going to go on to the next one. A lot of the time we start asking, what do I not have? When you go onto LinkedIn, you're going to find that question starts bugging you because you're going to see, oh, I don't have this certification and There's hundreds of things that you don't have, of course. But it's the wrong question. You need to ask the question, what do I have? Yes, there are lots of things that you don't have, and it's going to cloud your mind. But I want to focus our attention on the things that we do have, because everybody has something unique. That's how God made us. Okay, so first question is, what qualifications do you have? If you have none, right there, I don't have any. But I want you to try and think a little bit deeper than that. Did you do a course? You know what I'm saying? You can use any qualification that you have, you can use. Whether you did it at home or at church, all of it counts. What qualifications do you have? On my CV once I wrote, I got a decent mark for my exams at university while raising 2 young kids. To me, that was a qualification. Okay, I'm not going to spend too long on that. Next, list the experience that you have. Once again, if you have had experience in church, if you've had experience in first aid, whatever it is, what experience do you have? And try and start to get your experience in line with your passion. Some of us have a lot of experience, but really the only thing that counts is what's going to get you a job. So try and list that experience specifically.
Jack of all trades for 29 years, does that count?
No, it doesn't count. I want to get specific. It would be better for you to focus on one piece of experience inside that and sell it. Next, list your achievements. Once again, raising 2 kids might count for you. What are the most relevant achievements that you've had? Sheesh, hierdie klas is moeilik. This is a difficult class. guys, I just want to say something on achievements. The best type of a statement is, I increased productivity by 15% over a period of 3 months. It's time-based, it's got a number, and it tells you people exactly what you did. It could have been one project out of many, but that gives them a taste of what you've done, what you've achieved. So try and think of at least one thing that you've done that you can put a value to. That type of stuff on CVs is golden. Telling people that you implement productivity tools is, who cares? Say, I implement productivity tools and I increase productivity by 15% over 3 months is chalk and cheese different. You might have to do some digging. It's easiest to do digging when you are still part of the company. There's that.
I could list an achievement of moving a company of 40 people in a weekend from one building to the next.
Perfect.
When
What
people
was your
come in
specific role?
My specific role
Were you
was
project manager?
organizer,
Were you
project
coordinator?
manager, coordinator. There were 3 of us in total with the moving team, the heavy lifters.
Yeah.
But I had to make sure that everything was taken out of this office and put into that office on a different site and set up for the
Right.
Monday morning. They just come in, plug in the work.
I would want to try and push you to say, what happened after that? Did you save cost? I mean, why did they do it?
It was a cost-saving thing. I'm guessing it's to relocate the office and the warehouse and put it in one building. That was the objective.
If you can find a CapEx request or whatever where it shows what the saving was, or what it was supposed to be, golden. You can still do it now while you're there.
Yeah. Well, I've moved the company 3 times in a warehouse once, so I'm tired of moving around.
It's your thing. Okay. All right, guys, last one. Nobody's good at self-assessment, okay? My wife is a doctor, and when she's sick, it's very difficult to convince her that she's sick, okay? Because self-diagnosis is just not very good. But what you can do is try to see whether your assessment matches with what other people are saying about you. And this will require you to change your mindset a bit. It's very difficult to receive feedback. It's very hard to accept somebody else's opinion of you. But feedback is the breakfast of champions. What are those things that other people have said you did well? Remember a specific event that somebody looked at what you did and went, wow, that's amazing. Maybe you didn't even agree, but write it down. Okay, guys. Now, take those things that you've written down and see if you can find a golden thread. And write that golden thread down, if possible, as a job description. So, what is the title of this job that describes what you've just written down? Because we're going to go look for it on LinkedIn. I'm going to ask for volunteers. least is a little bit different to what you came in with. I hope that you're stretching yourself and putting on your tackies and running through the maze here now. What's the common thread with all this stuff? It doesn't have to fit every description. That's the main thing. What is the job role? Okay. Just going to go to the next slide in the meantime. Okay, there's a lady there that is doing a hobby. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to write down your hobby. Well, what is your passion? What do you love? What is your interest? What do you love doing? Who do you love to work with? What do other people say you're passionate about? So we talked now about what are you good at, and now we're talking about what do you love. Who do you love? This shouldn't be a difficult one to answer. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Can I just show you? I wish that okay, guys, what I want you to do is look back to that job name that you wrote down. And I want you to make it more specific, because the job name is what you are good at. It's important to go into a field that you're good at. You might love this, but if you're not good at it, I mean, you know America's Got Talent, you know that, or South Africa's Got Talent, whatever. Have you ever seen those mama's boys that are singing and they really think they are the bee's knees? And they really, really think that they're good. And they're really passionate about it, let's put it that way. But they're not very good. And we don't want to be there. We don't want to be in that space. We want to find the things that we are good at. Okay? Gavin, I use you as an example, I'm sorry. I always get picked on. But Gavin was wanting to be a chef, but he's walking on crutches. So for him to spend 12 hours on his feet in the kitchen, it's going to be difficult. It's not that we blame you. It's just that that's life. Okay? There's lots of other jobs you can do in the same arena, but if you're not equipped for it, it's going to be unhelpful. So you've got a job that you're good at, you've written down that role. I want you to now make it more specific by putting in, how can you align your passion with that job role? So for instance, let's say, I'm going to use Promise, I'm going to use your daughter as an example. Promise wants her daughter to be a nurse, okay? Because nursing is something that she's good at, she can do it. Now, let's say she enjoys working with people that are involved with HIV. You're going, why would you like to work with people that have HIV? Well, my wife's an HIV doctor. And the reason why she loves it is because you take someone who's almost beyond help. They're almost dead. And you give them ARVs, and they bounce back to life, and you save their lives. Could that inspire you? Now maybe there's something about this job role that really inspires you. Make it more specific. So what are you good at? I'm good at helping people. I'm good at helping people with medical care. I would be a good nurse. What am I passionate about? I'm passionate about helping people with HIV because my auntie came back from the dead. And I love that. Okay. I'm giving you an example that probably isn't relevant to you. But I adjust that example to your specific situation. So you've written down a job role. I want you to adjust that job role to an area where you are passionate about. Eddie, this might apply to you as well, because you might have been good at your job, you might have been exceptionally good at your job, but because due to a legal reason, you have described to us that you can't do it anymore. So that's kind of a barrier, just like Gavin's crutches. That might be a barrier to your job, but in a different arena, you could apply that skill. Or you could apply it in a different area that you're passionate about. Okay. All right, guys, while you are thinking, I know we are short of time, so I'm going to carry on and get to the point. I know you guys are thinking, freak, I hope he gets to the point quickly. Okay. The last thing we're going to do is take what you're good at, which you've now listed down, and what are you passionate about, which you've now listed down, and we're going to combine that with what people need. how on earth will you know what people need? And the reason is that we're looking for what people need is we're not artists. What does an artist do? They're really passionate about art. They're really good at it. They go and draw this beautiful painting, and as soon as they die, it becomes worth a lot of money. Okay, we're not artists. We're here to get money. So if you're not going to use what people need, then you're always going to kind of feel that's not your cheese. It's not going to make you happy. So we've got to find out what people need, and we can do that on LinkedIn. So I would like an example of a job description. I warned you I'm going to ask for a volunteer, and now I'm freaking doing it. Is anyone prepared to share their deep secret job description? It doesn't have to be the main one. You can go and change it at home. Jakub.
The one I have is about chaplaincy. So a chaplain is someone that goes out to accident scenes like car crashes, house robberies, or even situations where it gets worse like being mugged, robbed, raped, and etc. So the reason is going out to them, helping them with trauma response, and helping them to make sure they are okay, making sure what they went through will not haunt them forever, and they can have something to learn out of it, instead of fearing for their lives for doing something again. So they at least have the passion to redo something and try and be better at it next time.
So what is the role called?
Chaplain. It's also a trauma counsel unit.
Okay, well done for pushing the boundaries. Because you came in here saying you wanted to be a diesel mechanic, and I appreciate that. You might still become a diesel mechanic, but you're thinking a little bit further than that. As I'm struggling with the technical issue. Okay, in the meantime, can I just get a hands up? Who has registered on LinkedIn? LinkedIn. Promise, have you done it? Can you do it? You can try. Maybe your daughter can help you. Eddie, are you on?
Yes.
Okay. LinkedIn. Okay, we passed round 1. Let's try round 2. Who's registered on ChatGPT? Got to log in details on ChatGPT.
Not logged in, but I've downloaded the app as far as that.
Cool. Log in. Okay. Because we're going to use this thing extensively. So let's start on LinkedIn. Chaplain. Now what you do is you put in here a search. Okay, first you go to jobs, apologies. Put in a job title, chaplain. It's not, how do you spell chaplain? I-N-E. Okay, I will go here and I will ask ChatGPT, how do you spell chaplain? I-A-N. A-I. Wow. Okay, senior market corporate strategy. Why do you think it puts this at the top?
Because that's what you're seeing.
Yes, it's number 1, it couldn't find a chaplain, a job for a chaplain. And number 2, it went to look at my CV. And this is a very good example of something where you're really passionate about it, but it's not something, it may be a need in reality, but it's not something that people are looking for.
Okay.
They're not prepared to pay for it, let's put it that way. Okay. Now, we've got to think a bit further. How do you apply that in an arena that people really want? Otherwise, you're an artist. Okay. I want to start getting to the 700 or 800 mark in terms of number of jobs available. So, does anyone else have a job? I'm not shooting you down, hey? I'm trying to help us be realistic so that we get
maybe
there.
not change it to like a trauma counselor,
Yeah.
because then not everybody would use
It's
that
fine.
terminology. And that's
Exactly.
most likely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Someone is one.
That's something completely new.
Let's try trauma counselor. No.
Counselor should come up.
Hello? If he's finished, I think you should pick him up. Okay. Okay. Guys, there's no counselors. Sobering, eh? But if you find the right job role, there'll be many of them, okay? Let's test this theory. Maybe if you put a different CV in, it will find a counselor. But for me, it's not recommending a counselor. So let's say medical nurse, registered nurse. Immediately there's jobs. Okay. There are 16 results. So although we think the nursing system would be something that everybody would need, if I type in operations manager, I'm sure I'll get 2,000 opportunities. 200 to 2,000, let's put it that way. But for nursing, there's 16. It's not as in demand as what we think. Why? It's not because people don't need nurses. We're desperate for nurses. Hospitals are shutting down because they don't have enough, but nobody's prepared to pay for it. They're artists. Okay. So, did that help you a little bit? Okay. If I have to type in diesel mechanic, I'm pretty sure I'll get a strong number of jobs. Now, I'm going to show you something quickly. What I did is I put in manufacturing experts. So I just typed in manufacturing. Okay, and then I got I said between 200 and 2,000. I got 1,526 results. Now I know we've got something, a need, okay? Now that's just pretty much manufacturing experts. And I decided that was what was on my list. But now that I know I've got something that we need, it's too big. Because although there's a lot of demand for it, there's also a lot of people applying. Let me show you. Factory leader. This is Unilever. It's a big, nice, big company. Now, if I go to the bottom and I look how many people applied, 46 in the past day. How many do you think it's going to be in a week's time? Probably in excess of 700. Remote operations manager. Oof, that's up my street. Let's go and see what that looks like. 174. 174 have applied. You apply for that job, you're playing the lotto. Okay. So then what I did is I said, well, really what I'd love to do is I'd love to work remotely. And then I put in remote and then I didn't find a lot of jobs. And then I said, okay, well, what about AI? Because if I can combine my skills with AI, then I can find a job. And there I found like 3 or 4 options. I clicked on that option and I tailored my CV exactly to that job. Because I'd written all down the stuff I'm good at and my qualifications and my passions. And I knew that when I apply for that job, I'm on the top 10 in the HR manager's list. And when I did that, I got an interview. Okay. So the first step is, what are you good at? You're going to type that in there. Then you're going to, now you find a place where you are really in need. And then you're going to narrow it down by finding out what being more specific about what you're passionate about. I'm passionate about AI. 4 jobs. Okay. And there I tailor my CV. How do I tailor my CV to that specific job? Well, let me show you. We go into ChatGPT, and so I'm just going to start with a new one because I don't think this new thing was okay. So now what I'm just going to say is, give me a typical CV for a manufacturing manager. Okay, now what it's going to do, it's going to generate a CV for me. John Smith. I can literally, now obviously you'd put your existing stuff that you typed in last week, your CV, you'd put it in there, you'd attach it. You go over here, by the plus sign, and you say, attach. It's at the bottom, add photos and files. And then you attach your CV in there, and then it'll give you a specific CV that looks something like this. And then what I do is I typically just copy it into a Word document. That looks like this. So now how many applications have I done? So there's 8 different categories. Here's one. I literally copy and paste it. Don't do lots of extra effort because applying for jobs takes time. And you've got to apply for a lot of jobs if you want to go on LinkedIn. So copy paste, take that. You can go to the bottom. The easiest way is you ask it to go to the bottom. And then at the bottom, you just click there and copy. And you paste. Because you're going to have to get through a lot of CVs. And then you put that in. But now, I want to teach you something else. If you take all of that junk that you wrote down on your paper today, and you put it into another Word document, and you attach that as well, and say, please do that. And I've given you on the WhatsApp group, I've given you the prompt that you can type in. Based on my attached CV and attached passion and things I am good at, think of a better way to put that. Tailor a CV for the following job role. And then you just you copy that job role from LinkedIn. Role summary. Paste it in there, and you say, go. Now what it's going to do, it's going to take all of those words that were in the job role. I know we did it last week, but Sometimes you need to hear things a couple of times before it sinks in. So now it takes all of those words that are in the job role, it's going to match them to words that it's going to put in your CV. Now I made the example last week that I have a qualification that is too high for this job role. It left it out. I've got a qualification that is completely irrelevant to this job role. It didn't put it in. Why? Because when that HR manager is looking for something for CVs, they're not looking to employ you. They're looking to kick you out. Because they've got, remember, I just showed you, they have got 174 CVs. Just over the last week. So they're not looking for people they can employ. They're looking for, how am I going to kick you out? And they see, overqualified. Cheers. You don't have to put it in. So if the job role doesn't require it, look, if it's relevant to the job role, or you can make it relevant to the job role, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, take all of that junk, that massive information that you've got, and tailor it to that tiny little job description. And forget the rest. Once you've got the interview, you can brag about that stuff. Okay. But you've got to be on the top 10 list. Because when you are on Google, I've told you this many times, you never click to next page. And neither will the HR manager when they're looking for CVs. So you're going to spend 45 minutes, it takes you 45 minutes to do this, by the way. You spend 45 minutes looking for the right role, doing the application. You're going to do that times 60. And you're going to be number 11 on all of those. And you won't even get to see a human. So the first step is to get past that computer. And ChatGPT is going to do it for you. Okay. Obviously, if you have the paid version, LinkedIn can do it for you. There's many ways to do it. But get past the computer. Just keep it simple. Do what I've just done. All right. Was that helpful? Okay. So, it is not the best way to find a job. But if you start with this process that I've used, it'll be a lot easier to go and find the job that you want. What is the most difficult way to find a job?
Most difficult.
Yeah. LinkedIn.
Yeah.
The most difficult way to find, the hardest work, you're going to have to do the most effort if you go on LinkedIn. What is the least effort to find a job?
Networking.
Yes. Jolene proved it to us this week. Okay. But what we've done here is a fantastic basis for, because if you don't do this work, you're gonna meet that person that's got that one connection that you really need, and you're not gonna give them the right information to help you. Okay. Now, Pravesh, of course, everything that I've said applies exactly as is to your business. Okay. But we've run to the end of the time, and I'm sad that we haven't done a Bible reading, and we haven't prayed in the middle. Okay. But I really am glad that we got through this, because this was the main stuff. So, is there anyone who would like to ask a question or share anything? And then we'll pray quick.
I did mention last week, when I did my boot course, the people that I did my boot camp through, they have like a career coach that you can go to, like basically whenever you need. And one thing that I've learned through it is, especially when it comes to LinkedIn, a great way to actually boost yourself in LinkedIn is through actually connecting with people on LinkedIn itself. So I proposed the idea to Uncle Andrew last week.
Andrew, yes.
Sorry, I'd have it. On the lot of us would share our LinkedIn profiles with one another, and then just connect and help each other, just boost our profiles up.
Okay, but she gave me a much better idea than that. She's not bragging yet. what I would like to do is on LinkedIn you can get groups. So you can join a group for manufacturing managers. Okay. What about we create a group for frontline?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
And we can, because most of us know, really know people at church. It's not that we just come to church and
Sure.
So we can assist each other as well by giving each other, what is it called? When you accredit somebody on LinkedIn?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Skills and things
Yeah,
like that.
you can say somebody's good at this. There's a word for it. I know on LinkedIn. Go
It's a
find it.
specific word, yeah. But
Okay. Fantastic. You guys are full of good ideas today. The other thing is, if somebody wants to employ someone in the church, like Pravesh, you've got a business. You can just go on that group and you can see, hey, this is all the skills. We've got the database on a piece of paper, but it would be a heck of a lot better if you could find that person on LinkedIn and go look at their CV. But let's make sure that our CVs are updated then. So I will create the group when you guys are on par with your CV. That's my commitment.
I do have one question. In terms of, because I've heard different versions, in terms of your CV and your LinkedIn profile, you use your LinkedIn profile to get people to see your CV. Which one should have the more detail? Like, should your LinkedIn profile be more detailed and your CV concise, or the other way around?
Okay, it's a good question. What I would do is make sure on LinkedIn that your title is correct.
Yeah, okay.
That is the most important part of LinkedIn.
And you can
Your
ask
job title.
ChatGPT about that as well.
Yes, you can. And then the second most important thing is your about section. The rest, you don't have to have everything in, but it needs to be focused on your job role. But you can't have two LinkedIn profiles. So the more focused it is, the better the chance that you're going to be on the top 10 page of somebody. And it's better to be the top 10 page of one person than to be on the bottom 10 page of 1,000 people.
Yeah.
That's the principle of LinkedIn. So make your LinkedIn profile pretty focused. But the cool part is you can put as many CVs as you want. So when you make the CV, you tailor it like I showed you to the exact job role, and then you submit the CV as a tailored one, and the LinkedIn profile is specific to your passion and your things that you're good at.
But I suppose also more like generic, because you kind of
It's more
don't want,
generic as it always is.
you don't want to be, like I'll use my industry as an example. In IT there's, like Jolene know, there's so many different streams that you can go
100%.
into. I mean, even data analyst and data scientist is two completely different things. But so if I'm applying for the data analyst, it's more about visualizing the data. If I do science, it's more about creating the data pipelines and all of that.
Okay, but
and
if you're,
statistics and stuff.
yeah,
So I can't apply for the one and my profile is all about the other.
you can, but you're going to get a much better result if you make your profile specific. And if you can't find that type of job role, then maybe you're looking for the wrong job.
Okay, so should I put that?
Find what people want that aligns with your passion and what you're good at, and make it specific. The more specific, the better on your LinkedIn profile. Remember we spoke about strategy. Strategy is excluding things. Deciding whether you're going to be an analyst or a scientist. It feels terrible.
No, but it is. I've got to go and spend some time with the Lord and think, because it's exactly like I can testify to what you said. You know, the LinkedIn exercise is not necessarily the exercise that's going to get you the job in terms of you're going to get an interview through LinkedIn. But as you're doing this exercise that you've stepped us through tonight, you start answering the questions and zoning in more and more as you do it. So it's about, like you said, just getting started. Because initially when I started looking for a job at the end of last year, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do IT. But I mean, you can be a web designer, you can be a technical expert, you can be a data analyst, a software developer, a SQL analyst. Like there's so many different roles. But as I then started reading the job profiles and the roles for specific jobs, I realise more and more what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And so, like you said, when you do then eventually meet the person or get the interview, you know exactly what you want. You know exactly what you want to say to that person. You're not losing out on a good opportunity because you have done your preparation and
Now, it might be that you choose a very specific thing and you never get an interview. Well, that's life. You've taken a risk and it didn't pay off. But at least you took a risk and you made it specific.
And you figured out what
And
didn't work, like you
and
said.
you figured out what didn't work.
Start in the maze. Because if you don't start, you're not going to know. I'd rather get no's than not know.
Don't give 1,000 CVs or applications to people where you're going to be bottom of the 10 list. Don't do it.
With me, for example, with my website, I don't know, I need obviously somebody to work on the back end of the website because it's continuously putting products. I haven't done anything with videos, so there's, you know what I'm saying, so there's opportunity for upgrading or working on the back end of the website, maybe doing video posts. There's a lot of stuff in the back end that can promote. So if you're promoting or increasing my sales and business, that's I would definitely consider something. You know what I'm saying? Consider somebody.
Yeah, sure.
So that's also something that I'm just putting it out there as a business owner that's what's needed on my side of things.
Okay.
So there's lots of stuff that needs to be done.
But what are you going to look for when you appoint someone to do the job? You're going to look for someone who has that as their job title. If you're a back-end designer, IT designer, and you're looking for a job as a web designer,
It's two different things.
completely different.
I do
Don't
have
put
website.
their back-end designer on your job title because no HR manager ever got fired for employing a web designer for a web designer job. But some might have got fired for employing a back-end designer for a web designer job. So if you're looking for a web designer job, then put that in your job title. If you want, you can say aspiring web designer. But don't put something else if that's what you're looking for. And then go and study it. Can I show you how to look for what you're studying for? Oh, let's pray first, and then guys, we want to go, can go. Is there anything else? Thank you for joining us tonight, guys. It was a good discussion, and I really am looking forward to hearing more testimonies. Thank you for those that you brought tonight. Okay. Let's just pray quick. I'm going to pray, and then anyone else can, okay? Thank you, Lord, for this time and for every single blessing that you give us, and help us to remain grateful regardless of the circumstance. Lord, I just ask that you would come and that you would design the purpose and the direction of our lives, Lord. And that you would help us to then go out and execute it and make it happen. In Jesus' name, Lord. Anyone else wants to pray? Go for it. Guys, I want to show you so I've shown you today, if you feel like your CV is complete, add the stuff that you wrote down tonight onto ChatGPT and ask it to crit your CV. It's very, very good at critting your CV, and I can almost guarantee you it's going to give you some ideas that you haven't thought of. And I know you asked that question in the beginning. The second thing is, if you want to study, go and ask it for a study plan. So in other words, I'm not going to go to the computer because it's turned off. If you want us to do Excel, ask what certification courses are available for free in Excel, and then you must put what type of course you're looking for. You're looking for once you've decided what you want to do, you've bedded that down, then you've got to really position yourself for it. And the last session that we're going to do is going to talk about positioning yourself and doing courses and stuff. But I thought I'd just mention it. Go on ChatGPT and create for yourself a learning plan. I'm doing it. I'm going to speak to a guy in the church who's doing what I want to do and ask him what I should study. Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful evening. You're welcome to go to prayer. There's no prayer tonight.
No prayer tonight.
No prayer tonight. But there is full night prayer tomorrow, half night prayer tomorrow. So you look in the back.
Okay, everybody.
Yeah.
Did you bring your Yeah.
Jolene, would you mind turning off your camera? Okay. And so